G'day fellow creatures of the internet, this is the most must-see and subscribe to going here on YouTube, or the most must-see online ambassador of Black Marsh, whatever, Bruzo Dragonius, as this video is recorded on the 17th of August, 2021. At the moment, all of New South Wales is facing a statewide lockdown because it's apparent to me the Delta strain of the COVID-19 virus had come all the way from India and now landed here in Australia. At the time, we don't have any of the known quarantine facilities anywhere in Australia. So there's this thing about at the moment called hotel quarantine, where basically that there's people that are infected with the COVID-19 or the Delta virus had been confined to hotels and all that kind of stuff. The thing about it is that the Delta variant of the COVID-19 has landed here in Australia via Melbourne, and it had came over here from India. This has happened after Furry. But the thing about it is that because of people, our Premier didn't shut the borders on Victoria because we know that Victoria is running rampant with the Delta variant of the COVID-19. But then it came its way to Sydney. I don't know exactly how it went to the state of New South Wales. But apparently it came here by the northern beaches, and then it affected the whole majority of the Greater Sydney area, including, but not limited to, the Southwest Sydney area. Blacktown, Canterbury, Bankstown, Fairfield, the whole lot. And then, however, there's been sparking with protests and that, because the fact being is that Sydney ended up being in lockdown since early July this year, which is, I think, 2 months ago. Sydney is now in lockdown, but it did sort of spark the protest because of it. And apparently these protesters are nothing but selfish dry skins that are just bitching and all that kind of stuff, that were out there protesting because they had their freedom taken away. Those selfish bastards have protesting it like it's a human rights violation. But to me personally, it isn't. I would have thought that these lockdowns would just keep the Delta variant from spreading. And yeah, there are some people that were out there flooding the system, having their freedoms taken away and all that kind of stuff. I'm not quite sure that there's some of which that are just bitching about, the state of origin not being in New South Wales, or perhaps that they have the Sydney teams playing here in Newcastle. Now, as we know it, because of these protesters, if you're a protester in that COVID orgy of a protest, damn you to the void. It is because of those people that they not only extended the lockdown of Sydney that longer. Now, I'm not outing all of Sydney are like that. There's only 50,000 protesters, and Greater Sydney has a population of about 2.7 million, I think. I'm not quite sure. You can correct me on the comments if you want. So, thankfully, that's not all of Sydney. It's only just, give or take, a very small percentage. If lucky, it would be probably a population of an LGA down there in comparison. LGA, if you don't know, is local government area, or council area, if you will. And then this Delta variant had made its way to here in Newcastle. because of some selfish dry skins deciding to have a bit of a party just down south of here. You know, in some beach in Newcastle. Thus, ever since, thus prompted a Newcastle to join the lockdown bubble, prompting a 7-day, or what was meant to be a 7-day snap lockdown last week. And as we speak, we're still in lockdown, even though that the lockdown was meant to end around last Friday. But unfortunately, all the cases keep on rising up and up and up. You know, I know that protest itself is a super spreader event. I'm not going to be too surprised if any of those people that attend tested positive to COVID, but yet flaunting the system, flaunting the law. And there was meant to be another protest that was meant to be on the next weekend after that. But think the haste that there's a lot of cops surrounding all the area of Sydney, the entire CBD, that had all the stations in the city circle closed. So there's no way to get in. They're checking all cabs. They're checking for reasons to go out into the inner city area. And it's only for essential travel, which sort of include going out to the hospital to work, being a frontline worker, maybe to go out shopping, maybe to even get vaccinated. And now, because of these selfish people, we are in this state, in this position that New South Wales is having a statewide lockdown. So, to be honest with you, as we speak, half the country is in lockdown. That's including here, Victoria. I'm not quite sure if I'm not quite sure that Queensland's out of lockdown yet, but they're looking at that way. They're not even allowing essential workers into Queensland unless they have one dose of any vaccine. It is a main topic. It is trending in the news. You know, because of this COVID virus, because the fact being is that I have seen numerous press conferences of the premiers of each state, including here in New South Wales. Every day I see press conferences of Dr. Carrie Chant with Gladys Berejiklian, who is our state premier, which, as you know, it's the local equivalent to the state governor, talking about the cases of the virus, talking about the stats and all that kind of stuff, and reminding people to stay home. And there's like some sort of a commissioner of the cops talking about the people that is flaunting the stay-at-home orders and how many people that are fined. Because of this lockdown, Aurora, which is a convention in Sydney, ended up not only being postponed until next year as an actual con, but they decided to have Aurora as a virtual event. And what I mean that is an event that's on the internet. Because of the fact being is that Sydney is in lockdown and it's been August now, and Aurora meant to happen if it weren't for the lockdown late last month to early this month. The hotels ended up being one of the hotel quarantine facilities as well, so they had to cancel it and make it a virtual event. I know for sure that they'll beat down on that. I really do feel sorry for those attendees. You know, I know that there's a couple of people that haven't even been to a furry convention this year, but I'm looking forward to a ride with that. But it's been cancelled for the second time because of the fact being is that of the COVID lockdowns and all that kind of stuff that's happening down there. Hell, I wouldn't even dare to go to Sydney in this pandemic unless everything is just settled down. Also, the main reason why Megaplex has happened this year, my guess, is because of the vaccine percentages is really high. The people that are vaccinated, to be honest with you, that the virus, the Delta variant of the virus, is going to be around with us for most likely the rest of our entire lives. It's going to be in the face of this planet, whether we like it or not. I know for sure that we couldn't end this virus. There's no way that we can. Because even the Spanish influenza is out as well. Some of the well-known viruses is out and still exist today. There's been cases of that. And that's the reason why that furry conventions are allowed to happen in the United States, only because of the vaccination rates that is higher. Because of this Delta variant that's here in Australia, that's touched down, that's the reason why Aurora had been cancelled, because of the Delta variant, because of the lowest numbers of people vaccinated per capita in this country. In fact, that we have the lowest percentage in the entire world. We are running last on the percentage vaccinated here in Australia. I gotta admit, because of the Prime Minister of this country had the only excuse that he had got is that it's absolutely not a race. It isn't a race. That's what he said. Not a race. Instead of having first come, first serve, which would rise up the vaccination percentages, he focused on who is the most vulnerable to the disease. That is the most eligible. Not the fact that in the other countries, whether it's the US, the UK, there's no such thing as eligible ex-citizens in these countries. First come, first serve. And it goes for everyone. You get it once you're booked, no matter what your age is, no matter what your occupation is, or your housing status, you still get it. You still get vaccinated. But here, we just mucked around. And there's some news about the vaccine mandates, whether it's going to end up being made mandatory, whether it's like the businesses, maybe with the vaccine mandates only for frontline workers, and there's no vaccine mandates for any businesses, but it's up to the businesses themselves to enforce it. And that's only if they wanted to. The Australian government mentioned that there is no vaccine mandates to all their citizens, even when they don't consent to it. Now, I'm just putting down of what's going on. But speaking of vaccine mandates, should conventions have a rule of saying that vaccines are mandatory to attend, or at least have X amount of doses, maybe 2 doses of whatever vaccine? Well, okay, let's just face it. Like I said, whether we do like it or not, we can't get rid of the COVID. We are at this stage that every single event, every single gathering is risking to be a super spreader event. Hell, we just had the Olympics in that, and they fear that it's a mega spreader event, but to eliminate this, they don't have fan attendance to each of the games, like it's all televised and all that kind of stuff. Not even in the opening and closing ceremonies, but except that there's officials that attend, including, of course, the Emperor of Japan. This is where we are heading towards. And whether we do like it or not, hell, I love to attend furry conventions again. I would love to attend furry conventions again. Don't get me wrong. But the question is, should all conventions enforce that vaccine mandate to their attendees and their staff and their sponsors? Well, I don't know about what you think, but this is an Argonian.POV episode, and each and every one of them is based on my opinion, okay? You can agree with me or not. Whether we do like it or not, even all conventions, be it as the furry conventions, whether we do like it or not, are going to be known as are going to join up in this category as a super spreader event. And whether we do like it or not, it's going to end up remaining as such of all the future conventions. That is why that they enforce the rule of having masks in con spaces, even when you're not suiting. And we've seen this for every single one of these conventions, like Furry and Megaplex. Megaplex is going under attack from the other conventions because they're not sure if Megaplex is a super spreader event, they're not quite sure that there's like a COVID cluster. I think the history that there's no virus cases in Megaplex that I know of. The only downside is that they let a registered sex offender into that convention, which I do disagree with. As a matter of fact, when you're a registered sex offender, you should be banned from all conventions. It doesn't matter what one, you should be known to be banned from all of them. Hell, if I do run a con, you would be banned. But that's besides the point. Besides of having just masks, right, I don't run a convention. I'm not even the staff of a convention. But I'm being honest about my opinion. And I reckon that you should be allowed entry, you should be allowed attendance to any convention, whether it's a cosplay event, whether it's a furry event, only as long as you are vaccinated. And it doesn't matter on what vaccine it is, whether it's a Pfizer, whether it's the Moderna, whether it's the AstraZeneca. You know, I'm an Argonian that, and to be honest with you, I'm fully vaccinated, baby. And I am fully vaccinated. So, I probably would resort down to that. And I think that now in this situation, I reckon that it doesn't matter what con that you go to. There should be a rule. There should be a rule that in any gathering, whether it's sporting events or whatever, there should be a rule saying that you must be vaccinated. And I do agree with that, because the fact being is that if not, I'm going to be honest with you, if not, we're going to end up seeing a second MFF 2014. Not in Chicago, but in other parts of the world. Maybe here in Australia. And I said this every single time that there's going to be another MFF 2014 event to happen. And what I mean that is that there's going to be end up being a COVID cluster. And as is, the furries have a very bad reputation within the mainstream media, even with the non-furries and all that kind of stuff. That we're trying to redeem ourselves. We're trying to end up having a good image. And having a COVID cluster at a furry convention is the last thing that we want. In fact, that is the thing that we don't want altogether. I know it's going to end up happening. But I think that in times like this, I reckon that we do need to be vaccinated in order for us to attend. And as for fake vaccine cards, that shouldn't be let in as legitimate documentation. As a matter of fact, I'm for the vaccine passports and all that kind of stuff. But to the person that encourages getting fake passports, even though that you're not vaccinated, just so you can attend a convention, even despite that you're not vaccinated, even despite that you're even not vaccinated and tested positive for COVID, I reckon that should be frowned upon. That should get a person banned for life from any conventions. I'm sorry, but I want furry conventions to happen, but I want them to be safe as possible. I want them to be safe events, like all the other events that were out there. Everyone wants to attend an event that is COVID safe, just like a business out there, and be alive. Because let me be honest with you, right? I've gone onto Furry this year, and I thought there's going to be a COVID cluster that's causing me not to go back to New South Wales with the borders closing and all on Queensland. I was that close of not, luckily that I did go home. But to be honest with you, I love it there in Queensland. I would not want to leave. But if I don't leave, I'll end up being homeless because of my accommodation has been out and all that kind of stuff. I'm not quite sure if the manager would extend the accommodation. But actually, I'm trying to speak, like, I'm now starting to speak irrelevant points and all that kind of stuff. So, anyway, enough said. Time to wrap it up. So, what are your thoughts about the vaccine mandate at furry conventions? Should it be mandatory? Would you go to a convention that has a vaccine mandate? Or what do you think of it? Or what are your thoughts about it? Also, as per usual, if you do like this video, or if you do agree with my points, make sure you put the thumbs up. Please subscribe to this channel. But by doing so, by smashing the subscribe button, be the first one to know. Even is to smash that bell icon and turn notifications on so you can be the first person to know. The usual social medias, the ways to give me money and all that kind of hoo-ha is on the description below. Thank you so much for watching this video to the end. You're all amazing, even though that has a lot to say about this subject. If you want to friend me on PSN, my gamer tag is Bruzo21, of course. You're all amazing, even if you did subscribe to this channel. And hopefully that you can stay safe out there. Please don't die on COVID. I know that this disease is in this range that it doesn't discriminate for anyone. It kills people no matter what your age, occupation, and history with the disease. It kills people. And as always, this is the must see and subscribe going on YouTube, Bruzo Dragonius. Starting off by saying, be safe out there. And as always, may the His guide you all. Bye for now.